Captain Lee Tae-woo stared at the dark screen in front of him. The numbers made no sense. For 3 hours he had been checking the same data over and over again. Something was wrong with the deep space sensors around Jupiter. "Salman, come look." At this he called to his chief engineer. Park So-min floated over in the zero gravity of the Earth Defense Force station. Her black hair moved like water around her face as she studied the readings. "These energy signatures don't match anything in our database." "That's what I thought too." Lee Tae-woo rubbed his tired eyes. "But look at the pattern. It's too regular to be natural." The two officers had been monitoring the outer solar system for 5 years. Earth's defense network stretched from Mars to Neptune, watching for asteroids and space debris. Nothing exciting ever happened. Until today. "Captain," came a voice from across the command center. Kim Hyanyu, their communications officer, was pointing at his screen. "I'm picking up something strange near Europa. It's like a signal, but not quite." Lee Tae-woo pushed himself over to Kim's station. The young man looked confused and a little scared. "Show me."
That started 20 minutes ago.
"The computer says it's just background noise, but listen." Kim played the audio through his headphones. Lee Tae-woo listened carefully. At first, he heard nothing but static. Then, buried deep in the noise, he heard it. A pattern, a rhythm, almost like music, but not quite. "That's not natural," Park So-min said softly. She had followed them and was listening too. "No, it's not." Lee Tae-woo felt cold suddenly. "Kim, I want you to check every sensor we have. Look for anything that doesn't belong." For the next 6 hours, the 3 officers worked without rest. What they found changed everything they thought they knew about their place in the universe. Hidden in the asteroid belt were structures that had been there for decades. Near Saturn's rings, something large was moving in patterns that defied physics. Around Neptune, energy readings suggested technology far beyond anything humans had ever built. Captain Park So-min said quietly, "We're not alone. We never were." Lee Tae-woo nodded slowly. "The question is, why haven't they made contact?" That question would haunt him for days. He sent coded messages to Earth Command, but the response was always the same. "Keep watching. Keep recording. Tell no one else." 3 days later, Kim Hyanyu made another discovery. "Captain, I've been analyzing the signals. They're not random. They're reports." "Reports?" "Someone is watching us. These signals are status updates. They're telling someone else about our activities." Lee Tae-woo felt his blood run cold. How long have they been watching? Based on the signal patterns, at least 50 years, maybe longer.
At
Night, Lee Tae-woo couldn't sleep. He floated in his small quarters, staring out at the stars. Somewhere out there, beings with technology beyond human understanding were watching Earth. They had been watching for decades, maybe centuries, but they had never made contact. Why? The answer came from an unexpected source. Park So-min had been studying the hidden structures more carefully. She discovered that they weren't just watching Earth. They were watching everything humans did in space. "It's like a cage," she explained to Lee Tae-woo and Kim Hyanyu. "These devices form a network. Around our solar system, nothing gets in or out without them knowing." "You mean we're prisoners?" Kim asked. "I think so. But prisoners of what?" Lee Tae-woo made a decision that would change human history. "We're going to find out." The next morning, he requested permission to investigate the anomalies personally. Earth Command refused. He requested again. They refused again. Finally, he stopped asking for permission. "What we're about to do could be considered treason," he told his crew as they prepared their small reconnaissance ship. Park So-min checked the engines one more time. "If we're prisoners, then maybe treason is the right thing to do." Kim Hyanyu nodded. "My grandmother always said that sometimes you have to break the rules to do what's right." Their ship was small, but fast. It had been designed for quick trips. Between Earth and Mars, now they were taking it to the edge of known space, toward one of the mysterious structures near Jupiter. As they flew closer, the structure became clearer. It was huge, easily the size of a small city. Its surface was smooth and dark, with patterns that seemed to shift and move. No human technology looked anything like it. "I'm detecting massive energy readings," Park Soman reported. "Whatever this thing is, it's very much alive." "Life signs?" Lee Tae-woo asked. "Not life as we know it, but it's definitely active." They circled the structure for an hour, taking pictures and measurements. Kim Hyan-yu recorded everything he could detect. The objects seemed to ignore them completely. "It's like we're not even here," Kim said. "Or maybe we're exactly what it expected to see," Lee Tae-woo replied. As they prepared to leave, something changed. The structure began to glow. Patterns of light raced across its surface. Then, without warning, it spoke. The voice filled their ship, bypassing their communication systems entirely. It spoke in perfect Korean, as if it had been listening to their conversations. "You have seen what you should not see," the voice said. "You have learned what you should not learn. This cannot be allowed." Lee Tae-woo grabbed the communication. "Controls. Who are you? What do you want?" "We are the Watchers. We are the Guardians. We keep the dangerous ones contained." "Dangerous ones? You mean humans?" "Yes, you must remain here. You must remain limited. It is for the good of all." Park Soman looked at her captain. "They're afraid of us." The voice spoke again, colder now. "Fear is not the correct word. Caution is. Your species has traits that could destabilize the galactic order. You must be controlled." "We won't be controlled," Lee Tae-woo said firmly. "Then you will be eliminated." The structure began to move toward their ship. Energy built up along its surface. Lee Tae-woo realized they had seconds before they would. "Be destroyed, Salman. Get us out of here." Their ship's engines roared to life. They raced away from the structure as beams of deadly energy missed them by meters. Behind them, the alien device gave chase. But their small ship was faster. As they fled toward Earth, Lee Tae-woo realized that everything had changed. Humanity was not alone in the universe. But they were also not welcome in it. The ember of human defiance had been stirred. Soon the galaxy would learn what that meant. The sleeping giant was beginning to wake up. Commander Yoon Ji-ho was having a quiet day when everything went wrong. She was leading a routine patrol near the asteroid belt when her sensors detected a ship in distress. "Commander, we have a vessel drifting without power," reported her tactical officer. "It's not human design." Yoon Ji-ho studied the readings on her screen. The ship was unlike anything in Earth's databases. It was badly damaged, with hull breaches and failing life support. Someone was dying out there. "Orders are to avoid contact with unknown vessels," her second officer reminded her. "Orders can go to hell," Yoon Ji-ho said firmly. "We don't leave people to die in space. Prepare the rescue pods." 20 minutes later, they pulled 3 survivors from the wreckage. The beings were humanoid but clearly not human. They had pale blue skin and large dark eyes. They were unconscious and badly injured. "Get them to the medical bay," Yoon Ji-ho ordered, "and call Dr. Choi Min-soo. Or tell him we need him immediately." Dr. Choi Min-soo arrived within hours. He was Earth's leading expert on theoretical alien biology, though he had never expected to use his knowledge on real aliens. As he examined the survivors, he made several disturbing discoveries. "Their brain patterns are completely different from humans," he told Yoon Ji-ho. "They seem to have natural telepathic abilities, but there's something else." "What?" "When I'm near them, their telepathic readings go wild. It's like my presence is causing them pain." One of the aliens woke up that evening. He was weak but conscious. Through a translation device, he introduced himself as Ambassador Kelthor of the Nexari Republic. "You should not have saved us," he said weakly. "The Watchers will punish you for this." "The Watchers?" Yoon Ji-ho asked. "The ones who keep your species contained. They will not tolerate contact between us and your kind." Kelthor's story was incredible. He told them about the Galactic Concordat, a collection of advanced civilizations that had maintained peace for centuries. Earth had been discovered long ago, but humans were considered too dangerous to join galactic society. "Dangerous how?" Dr. Choi asked. "Your minds work differently. You cannot be controlled through psychic influence. Where you go, others become free from mental domination. The seers fear this above all else. Kelthor explained that the galaxy was ruled by beings called the Council of Seers. They maintained order through psychic control, keeping other species peaceful and obedient. But humans were immune to this control, and their presence could break the psychic hold on others. That's why we were quarantined, Yunjiho realized. We're not just dangerous to them, we're dangerous to their entire system of control. Yes, and now that you have made contact with us, they will come to silence you. Dr. Choi spent days studying the aliens and their technology. What he learned changed everything he thought he knew about human consciousness. Human brain waves operate on frequencies that interfere with telepathic networks, explained to President Kong Yoon-ji during an emergency video conference. We don't just resist mental control, we actively disrupt it. President Kang was a practical woman who had led Korea through many crises, but this was beyond anything she had faced before. What are you telling me, Doctor? I'm telling you that humanity has a natural ability that threatens the foundation of galactic civilization. We make freedom possible just by existing. Meanwhile, Ambassador Kelthor was recovering quickly. He shared more details about the galaxy beyond Earth's solar system. There were hundreds of intelligent species, but most lived under the psychic control of the seers. They believed they were free, but their thoughts and actions were subtly guided. Only a few species have ever resisted, Kelthor said. They were destroyed as examples to others. What happened to them? Yunjiho asked. Complete extinction. The seers call it necessary correction. They make it look like natural disasters or civil wars. Commander Yunjiho felt sick. They're going to do that to us. Yes, unless you surrender and accept permanent containment. That night, Kelthor made a shocking revelation. There are records of humans in our ancient histories. Your species reached the stars before, thousands of years ago. The seers destroyed your first civilization and forced the survivors back to Earth. We've been to space before? Dr. Choi asked. Yes, and you terrified them so much that they have spent millennia ensuring you could never return. But now you have, and they are more afraid than ever. The alien ship had been carrying important intelligence when it was attacked. Kelthor shared what he knew about the Concordat's military strength and the location of their main bases. The information was both helpful and terrifying. They have millions of ships, he said. Weapons that can destroy planets. Technology beyond your current understanding. Then we're doomed, Yunjiho said. Not necessarily. Your immunity to psychic control is spreading. Every alien who spends time near humans begins to think more clearly. Some are already questioning the seer's authority. 2 weeks after the rescue, long-range sensors detected a massive fleet approaching Earth. The Concordat had found them. 50 ships, reported the sensor operator, not responding to our communications. President Kang addressed the nation. That evening, she told the truth about the aliens, the galactic civilization, and the approaching threat. The reaction was mixed. Some people panicked. Others were excited about meeting aliens. Most were simply confused. We face a choice, she said. We can surrender and accept eternal imprisonment, or we can fight for our freedom and the freedom of others. The fleet arrived 3 days later. It did not come in peace. The first attack targeted the outer colonies. Mars Colony, home to 50,000 people, was hit without warning. The weapon was invisible and silent. One moment the colony was there, the next it was gone. Among the dead was Commander Jiho's younger brother and his family. She had saved alien lives, and now humans were dying because of it. This is your fault, someone shouted at her during the emergency briefing. You should have left them to die. No, Jiho said firmly. This is their fault for trying to keep us caged. Dr. Choi's research had revealed something important. Human consciousness didn't just disrupt alien psychic abilities. It could be weaponized. If they could build devices that amplified human brainwaves, they might be able to fight back. It's theoretical, he admitted, but it's the only chance we have. Ambassador Kelthor volunteered to help. My people have been slaves for so long. We forgot what freedom felt like. But being near you has reminded us. We want to fight. As more colonies were destroyed, humanity realized they were facing extinction. The seers had decided that the risk was too great. They would not contain humans this time. It would eliminate them completely. The ember that had been stirred was now beginning to glow. Earth prepared for a war they had never wanted but could not avoid. The sleeping giant was waking up, and it was angry. Major Lim Dong-heen watched the alien ships approach Mars through his binoculars. There were 12 of them, moving in perfect formation. They looked like dark metal birds against the red sky. All units, prepare for contact, he spoke into his radio. Remember, we're not just fighting for Mars, we're fighting for humanity. The defense of Mars colony had been thrown together in 3 days. 2,000 soldiers, miners, and colonists against an alien force that had already destroyed 6 other settlements. The odds were hopeless, but Major Lim refused to give up. Sir, they're scanning the colony, reported Sergeant Wan Da-hee from the communications bunker. Should we respond? No. Let them think we're helpless. The alien ships began their attack without warning. Beams of blue energy struck the outer buildings, turning metal and concrete into dust. The colonists screamed and ran for the underground shelters. Now Major Lim shouted into his radio. Hidden throughout the colony, human soldiers opened fire with everything they had. Missiles, plasma cannons, and railguns all targeted the alien ships. Most of the weapons bounced off their shields harmlessly, but not all of them. Direct hit on Ship 3, called out Lieutenant Park GI-1 from his position on the communications tower. Their shields are down. Major Lim smiled grimly. The aliens were advanced, but they weren't gods. They could be hurt. The battle raged for 6 hours. The aliens destroyed half the colony, but they lost 4 ships in return.
Ow.
More importantly, they seemed confused by human tactics. They expect us to fight like other species, Major Lim observed as he watched the aliens regroup. But we don't. Where other species might retreat in orderly formations, humans used guerrilla tactics. They hid in ruins, attacked from unexpected angles, and used the aliens' own weapons against them. It was chaos, but it was effective chaos. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Nam Dejin was working frantically in her laboratory. She had been studying the brainwave patterns Dr. Choi had discovered, trying to turn human consciousness into a weapon. The frequency is all wrong, she muttered, adjusting her equipment for the 100th time. I need to amplify it without distorting it. Her assistant, Dr. Lee Suho, brought her another cup of coffee. Maybe we're thinking about this wrong. What if we don't try to control it? What if we just let it be natural? Dr. Nam paused. Natural, of course. She began rebuilding her device with a completely different approach. Instead of trying to force human brainwaves into a specific pattern, she would let them flow naturally and simply make them stronger. The breakthrough came at 3 a.m. When she activated her new device, every piece of alien technology in the laboratory shut down. The telepathic suppression field that had been preventing Ambassador Kelther from contacting his people suddenly disappeared. It works, she whispered. It actually works. Back on Mars, Major Lim was planning his next move when something unexpected happened. The alien ships suddenly stopped attacking. They hung in the sky, motionless, as if they were confused. What's happening, Sergeant Wan? I don't know, but we're not wasting this chance. All units advance and engage. The human forces charged. Out of their hiding places, attacking the hovering ships with everything they had. Without their coordination, the alien vessels fell one by one. They're retreating, Lieutenant Park reported with amazement. The remaining ships are leaving.
Damn.
Major Lim couldn't believe it. They had won. Somehow, impossibly, they had defeated an alien force that should have been invincible. The answer came from Earth. Dr. Nam's device had been activated during the battle, and its effects had reached Mars. The alien ships, which relied on psychic coordination, had been disrupted just enough to give the humans an advantage. You did it, Major Lim said over the radio to Dr. Nam. You actually did it. This is just the beginning, she replied. I can make the effects stronger, more focused. But I need time. Time was something they didn't have. Intelligence reports showed that the aliens were massing a much larger fleet. The attack on Mars had been just a test. The real invasion was coming. Captain SEOJ-1 was given command of humanity's first counterattack. His mission was to strike at an alien supply base near Jupiter using 3 ships and Dr. Nam's new weapons. "Remember, we're not trying to win a war," he told his crew as they prepared to launch. "We're trying to prove that we can fight." The alien supply base was a massive structure floating in space. It was defended by 20 warships and had shields that could stop anything humans had ever built. Under normal circumstances, attacking it would be suicide. But these weren't normal circumstances. "Activate the consciousness disruptor," Captain Seo ordered as they approached the base. Dr. Nam's device filled the area with amplified human brainwaves. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The alien ships began to drift apart. They're perfect. Formations breaking down. Their shields flickered and failed. "All ships attack now," Captain Seo commanded. The human vessels opened fire with everything they had. Without their psychic coordination, the alien defenders couldn't respond effectively. Their superior technology meant nothing if they couldn't use it properly. The battle was over in 30 minutes. The supply base was destroyed, along with most of its defenders. But the victory came at a cost. 2 of the 3 human ships were lost, including most of their crews. "Was it worth it?" asked his communications officer as they limped back to Earth. Captain Seo looked at the wreckage behind them. "Ask me that question when we're all free." News of the victory spread quickly through both human and alien channels. For the first time in galactic history, a primitive species had defeated Concordat forces in open battle. The reaction was swift and violent. The Council of Seers declared humanity a threat to galactic peace and authorized total war. Every available ship was to be sent to the Sol system. Earth would be destroyed completely, but something else was happening. Ambassador Kelthur reported that several alien species were beginning to question the Seers' authority. The news that humans could fight back was spreading, and with it, the idea that freedom was possible. "The Valerian Confederation has declared neutrality," he told President Kang during a secret meeting. "The Theta Collective is asking questions about the war. Some are even offering to help. Help us. Help themselves. Your consciousness disruptor doesn't just affect the Seers. It affects all psychic control. Species that have been enslaved for centuries are remembering what freedom feels like." Dr. Nam's research had revealed something else. The effect was getting stronger. Every time humans used their consciousness as a weapon, the disruption field became more powerful. It was as if humanity was learning to use an ability they had always possessed, but never understood. "We're not just fighting for Earth," Dr. Nam explained to the Emergency Council. "We're fighting for the right of all species to think freely." Ember of human defiance was now a growing flame. Across the galaxy, beings who had never questioned their leaders were beginning to ask dangerous questions. The Seers had created exactly the situation they had feared most. Humanity was awake. Their awakening was spreading to others. The thunder of war was growing louder. Soon the galaxy would shake with the sound of breaking chains. Admiral Bei Sun-jo stood in the command center of humanity's newest warship, watching the stars through the main window. 6 months had passed since the victory at Jupiter, and everything had changed. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Nexari fleet," reported Communications Officer Han Minji. "Ambassador Kelthar wants to speak with you." The blue-skinned alien appeared on the main screen, but he looked different now. His eyes were brighter, more alive. Being around humans had changed him in ways no one had expected. "Admiral Bay. Bring good news," Kelthar said. 3 more species have joined our alliance. The Kepler Mining Guild, the Outer Rim Traders, and the Botanical Collective have all declared independence from the Concordat. "That's excellent news," Admiral Bay replied. "How many ships can they provide?" "Nearly 200, though most are cargo vessels converted for war. But they have something more valuable than ships. They have information." The rebellion was spreading faster than anyone had hoped. Each time human forces fought alongside aliens, the consciousness disruptor effect grew stronger. Entire populations were breaking free from psychic control and demanding their freedom. Engineer Park So-min had been working day and night to build humanity's first faster-than-light drives. She had reverse-engineered the technology from captured alien ships, but human innovation had made it better. The key was understanding that their drives rely on psychic navigation, she explained to Admiral Bay. But our drives don't need that. We can go anywhere in the galaxy without their permission. How fast can we build them? I have teams working on 50 ships. They'll be ready in 2 months. The first human deep space mission launched 3 weeks later. Colonel O'Hiran commanded a strike force of 12 ships with orders to hit Concordat supply lines throughout the galaxy. Remember, we're not just destroying their supplies, she told her captains before they departed. We're showing other species that the Seers can be defeated. The mission was a complete success. Colonel O's forces struck 6 different systems in 1 week, destroying supply depots and freeing slave labor camps. But the most important discovery came at the Kepler mining station. Admiral, you need to see this, Colonel O reported over the quantum communicator. We found ancient ruins here. Human ruins. The archaeological team that studied the site made an incredible discovery. The ruins were thousands of years old, but they were definitely human. There were star charts, written records, and even genetic samples preserved in stasis. This proves what Kelther told us, said Dr. Choi Min-soo, who had traveled to the site. Humans have been to the stars before, but there's more. These records show that ancient humans fought the Seers and won. What happened to them? They were betrayed. One of their own leaders made a deal with the Seers. In exchange for personal power, he helped them destroy human civilization and drive the survivors back to Earth. The discovery sent shockwaves through the rebellion. If humans had defeated the Seers before, they could do it again. But it also revealed how dangerous the Seers truly were. They had spent thousands of years planning to prevent humanity's return to the stars. Meanwhile, the war was escalating. The Concordat had assembled the largest fleet in galactic history. Over 10,000 warships from 100 different species. They were coming to Earth with orders to destroy every human in the galaxy. We can't fight 10,000 ships, President Kong said during an emergency meeting. We don't have to fight them all, Admiral Bay replied. We just have to break their control over the crews. Dr. Nam Vijin had been working on a new version of the consciousness disruptor. This one was powerful enough to affect entire star systems, but it required a massive power source. I need to connect it to Earth's main power grid, she explained. The energy requirements are enormous. Will it work? If my calculations are correct, it will free every psychically controlled being within 50 light-years. That includes most of the Concordat fleet. The plan was risky. If the disruptor failed, Earth would be defenseless. But if it worked, it would turn the enemy fleet against itself. 3 days before the Concordat fleet arrived, something unexpected happened. Long-range sensors detected human ships throughout the galaxy. Colonel O's strike forces had grown into a full rebellion, with thousands of ships from dozens of species. How is this possible? Asked General Quantejo, who had been coordinating the defense of Earth. The consciousness disruptor effect is spreading on its own, Dr. Nam explained. Every time we use it, it gets stronger. And every freed mind makes the next one easier to free. The rebellion had become a wildfire, spreading from system to system, faster than the Seers could contain it. Species that had been controlled for centuries were suddenly thinking for themselves. Many were angry. Very angry. The Seers are losing control of their own empire, Ambassador Kelthar reported. Some of their regional governors are declaring independence. Others are fleeing to the galactic core. Where are the Seers themselves? They're coming here. Of them, the entire Council of Seers is aboard the flagship heading for Earth. Admiral Bay realized what was happening. They're making their final stand. If they can destroy Earth and kill all humans, they think they can restore their control. Can they? Not if we stop them first. The Concordat fleet arrived on a Tuesday morning. 10,000 ships spread across the solar system like a dark cloud. At their center was the Seer flagship, a massive vessel that pulsed with psychic energy. Ships, prepare for battle, Admiral Bay commanded. Today we fight for the freedom of every thinking being in the galaxy. The human fleet was small compared to the enemy, only 300 ships, but they were not alone. Allied vessels from 50 different species fought alongside them, and more were arriving every hour. Activate the consciousness disruptor. Admiral Bay ordered. Dr. Nam's device sent waves of disruption throughout the solar system. The effect was immediate and catastrophic for the Concordat. Thousands of ships suddenly stopped following orders, as their crews began to think freely for the first time in their lives. Admiral, we're receiving surrender signals from over 2,000 enemy vessels, reported Communications Officer Han. They're asking for protection from the Seers. Battle became a rout. Without psychic control, the Concordat forces fell apart. Species that had been forced to fight for the Seers turned their weapons on their former masters, but the Council of Seers had one last desperate plan. Their flagship began to glow with terrible energy as they prepared to destroy Earth's sun. "We cannot rule, then no one will," came the psychic message from the Seer flagship. The flame of human rebellion had spread across the galaxy. Now it was time to see if it could survive the Seer's final desperate act. General Quantaho watched the Seer flagship charge its weapons and knew they had seconds to act. The massive vessel was preparing to destroy Earth's sun, which would kill every living thing in the solar system. "All ships, target the flagship," he commanded. "Everything we have." Thousands of human and allied vessels opened fire at once. The Seer ship's shields flared and sparked under the assault, but they held. The ancient technology of the Council was more advanced than anything the rebels possessed. "Shields are holding at 60%, reported Tactical Officer Kim Barham. "We're not doing enough damage." "Then we get closer," General Quan said grimly, ramming speed. Before anyone could protest, Captain Coj Wan's voice came over the communication system. "General, this is Captain SEO. I'm already in position. Tell my wife I'm sorry." His ship crashed into the Seer flagship at full speed. The explosion was visible from Earth as both vessels were destroyed in a ball of fire, but the sacrifice worked. The flagship's shields collapsed. Now General Quan shouted, "Hit them with everything." The concentrated firepower of the entire rebel fleet struck the Seer ship, but even damaged, it continued charging its sun-killing weapon. The Seers would rather die than lose their control over the galaxy. Dr. Kim Soo-jin had been studying the ancient human ruins throughout the war. What she discovered in the final hour changed everything they knew about human history. "General Quan, I need to speak with you immediately," she said over the emergency channel. "Doctor, we're in the middle of a battle. This can't wait. The ruins aren't just proof that humans were here before. They're instructions. The ancient humans left us a message about how to defeat the Seers permanently. What kind of message? A weapon? But not the kind you think. The ancient texts talk about something called the silent flame. It's not a device or a ship. It's what happens when human consciousness reaches full potential. I don't understand. The consciousness disruptor we've been using is just the beginning. Human minds can do more than disrupt psychic control. They can free consciousness itself, permanently. But it requires a sacrifice." General Quan felt cold. What kind of sacrifice? "Someone has to link their consciousness directly to the galactic psychic network. They'll die. But their mind will spread through every controlled being in the galaxy. It will shatter the Seer's power forever." "How do we do it?" The ancient. "Humans built a device for this purpose. It's hidden in the ruins on Kepler Station. But General, whoever uses it won't survive." The Seer flagship was almost ready to fire. Earth's sun would be destroyed in minutes. General Quan made the hardest decision of his life. "Dr. Kim, send the coordinates to Colonel O. Tell her what needs to be done." "General, no. There has to be another way." "There isn't. And we're out of time." Colonel O'Hiren received the message. As she was leading an attack on a Seer command ship, when she understood what was being asked of her, she felt her heart break. "All ships, this is Colonel. Oh, continue the attack without me. I have a special mission." She turned her ship toward the Kepler station, where the ancient human device waited. Behind her, the battle raged on, but she knew it was hopeless without the silent flame. The device was exactly where the ancient records said it would be. It looked simple, just a chair connected to strange crystals. But Dr. Kim's research had shown what it really was. A bridge between human consciousness and the galactic mind. "Colonel, please reconsider," came Dr. Kim's voice over the radio.
Thanks.
"Don't know if this will work." "It has to work, Colonel," O replied. "My daughter is on Earth. I won't let the seers kill her." She sat in the ancient chair and activated the device. The pain was immediate and overwhelming. Her consciousness expanded beyond her body, reaching out through space to touch every controlled mind in the galaxy. What she found horrified her. Billions of beings living as slaves, their thoughts guided by the seers for thousands of years. They had forgotten what freedom felt like. They had forgotten how to think for themselves. But now they remembered. Colonel O's consciousness spread through the psychic network like fire through dry grass. Everywhere it touched, beings woke up. They realized they were slaves. They realized they had been lied to. They became very, very angry. On the seer flagship, High Seer Vorthok felt his power crumbling. The psychic network that had controlled the galaxy for millennia was collapsing. Billions of minds were breaking free at once. "Impossible," he whispered. "The prophecies spoke of this, but we thought we had prevented it." "What prophecies?" asked his aide, who was beginning to think clearly for the first time in his life. "The silent flame, the consciousness that would free all others." "We destroyed the first human civilization to prevent this, kept them contained on their world. But we failed." Aide looked at his master with new understanding. "You're afraid of them." "Of course we're afraid. They don't just resist control. They make control impossible. Where humans go, freedom follows." Throughout the galaxy, the rebellion exploded into full revolution. Species that had served the seers for centuries turned on their masters. The Concordat fleet attacking Earth suddenly found itself fighting against ships that had been allies. Moments before, Admiral Bay, "We're receiving surrender requests from over 8,000 enemy vessels," reported Communications Officer Han. "They're asking to join the rebellion." "Accept them all," Admiral Bay replied. "Today, everyone is free." The Seer flagship made one final desperate attempt to destroy Earth's sun, but it was too late. The ship's own crew had turned against the Seers. The ancient masters of the galaxy found themselves prisoners on their own vessel. High Seer Vorthok was brought before Admiral Bay in chains. The being who had ruled through fear and control for centuries now looked small and fragile. "Your species has doomed the galaxy," he said weakly. "Without our guidance, there will be chaos. War. Suffering, maybe," Admiral Bay replied. "It will be our choice. That's what freedom means." The prophecies warned of this day. They said the silent flame would burn away all bonds, leaving only chaos behind. "Your prophecies were wrong about one thing," Admiral Bay said. "They assumed chaos was bad. But sometimes you have to tear down the old system before you can build something better." Colonel O'Hiran's sacrifice had achieved what seemed impossible. The psychic control network that had enslaved the galaxy was permanently destroyed. Every species was free to think for themselves for the first time in thousands of years. But freedom came with a price. Without the Seer's control, old conflicts erupted. Some species attacked their neighbors. Others fell into civil war. The galaxy was indeed becoming chaotic. Was it worth it? Dr. Kim asked Admiral Bay as they watched the reports of violence across the galaxy. "Ask me in 100 years," he replied. "Freedom is messy, but slavery is worse." The ember that had been stirred was now a raging fire. The Seers' empire was dead, their prophecies fulfilled in ways they never imagined. Humanity had not just won their freedom, they had given freedom to everyone. The silent flame burned bright, and the galaxy would never be the same. 20 years had passed since the fall of the Seers. Fleet Admiral Park Min-ho, now an old man with gray hair, stood on the bridge of the newest human starship as it approached the former Seer capital world. "Admiral, we're receiving docking clearance." "From the Galactic Assembly," reported his communications officer. "President Lee is waiting for you." The galaxy had changed dramatically since the revolution. The old Concordat was gone, replaced by a loose alliance of free species called the Galactic Assembly. Each world governed itself, but they worked together on issues that affected everyone. It hadn't been easy. First years after the Seer's fall had been filled with chaos and war. Some species had tried to build their own empires. Others had retreated into isolation. Many had simply not known how to live without someone telling them what to do. But slowly, gradually, they had learned. With help from humans and other free species, they had built something new, something better. "Take us in," Admiral Park commanded. "It's time to make history." The Galactic Assembly Building was a marvel of cooperative engineering. Each species had contributed their best technology to create something that belonged to everyone. It was beautiful and functional, symbol of what free beings could accomplish together. Inside, representatives from 300 species were gathered for the most important vote in galactic history. They were deciding whether to admit humanity. As a full member of the Galactic Assembly, the vote will be close, warned Ambassador Keelthor, who had become one of humanity's closest allies. "I understand," replied President Lee Yun-woo, who had led Korea and then Earth through the difficult post-war years. "Fear is natural, but we've proven that we can be trusted." The debate had been going on for months. Some species argued that humans were too dangerous to be given full membership. Others pointed out that humanity had earned their place by freeing the galaxy from the Seers. "The Terrans have shown us what freedom means," said Representative Call of the Nixari Republic. "Without them, we would still be slaves." "But their presence changes everything," argued Representative Vex of the Outer Colonies. "Wherever humans go, traditional power structures collapse. How can we maintain order?" "Maybe we don't need the kind of order you're talking about," replied Representative Thane of the Reformed Hegemon. "Maybe chaos is better than slavery." Debate continued for hours. Finally, the vote was called. Each species cast their ballot electronically, and the results appeared on the main screen. In favor of human membership, 198 species. Against, 97 species. Abstaining, 5 species. Humanity had won. They were now full members of the Galactic Assembly. President Lee stood to address the Assembly. "Thank you for your trust. We promise to use our membership responsibly. We'll work with all of you to build a better galaxy." But the real celebration was happening elsewhere. On Earth, crowds filled the streets as the news spread. Humanity had gone from prisoners in their own solar system to full members of galactic civilization in just 2 decades. Commander Lee Tae-woo, now an elderly man, watched the celebrations from his retirement home. Of the original crew that had discovered the alien monitoring stations, the ember they had stirred had become a fire that changed everything. "Was it worth it?" asked his granddaughter, who had never known a world without aliens. "Every moment of it," he replied. "It gave the galaxy something it had never had before. Choice." Transformation hadn't been limited to politics. Human technology, combined with alien knowledge, had created wonders that neither species could have achieved alone. Diseases that had plagued civilizations for millennia were cured. Planets that had been barren were made fertile. Art and music from hundreds of cultures mixed and evolved in ways no one had imagined. But the most important change was invisible. Throughout the galaxy, beings who had lived under psychic control for thousands of years were learning to think for themselves. It was a slow process, sometimes painful, but it was happening. Dr. Nam the Jin, head of the Galactic Institute for Consciousness Studies, spent years studying the effects of the silent flame. What she discovered was remarkable. The consciousness disruptor didn't just free minds, she explained to a gathering of scientists from across the galaxy. It permanently changed how consciousness works. The psychic control networks can never be rebuilt. Freedom is now the default state. "What does that mean for the future?" asked Dr. Zenth of the Kepler Research Station. "It means that what Colonel O did was permanent. No one can ever again control the minds of others on a galactic scale. Age of psychic empires is over forever." The ceremony to honor the heroes of the revolution was held on the anniversary of the final battle. Monuments were erected on dozens of worlds to remember those who had died for freedom. Colonel O'Hiron's monument was the largest. It stood in the center of the Galactic Assembly Building, a simple statue of a woman reaching toward the stars. The inscription read, "She gave her mind so that all minds could be free." Fleet Admiral Park Min-ho stood before the monument with tears in his eyes. I knew her personally. She was brave, but she was also kind. She would have been proud to see what we've built. The galaxy was not perfect. There were still conflicts. Still problems to solve? Some species struggled with the concept of self-governance. Others tried to dominate their neighbors through conventional means. But the fundamental change was irreversible. We've learned something important, President Lee said in his final speech before retiring. Freedom isn't a gift you give to someone else, it's something each being must claim for themselves. All we did was make it possible. As the years passed, the legend of humanity's role in the galactic revolution grew. Children across the galaxy learned about the species that had broken the ancient chains. Some of the stories were exaggerated, but the core truth remained. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had liberated it. The silent flame burned in the consciousness of every free being. It was a reminder that no matter how powerful the oppressor, no matter how hopeless the situation seemed, freedom was always possible. The ember had been stirred. The flame had spread. And now it burned eternal. A beacon of hope for any being who dared to dream of liberty. The presence that had silenced the prophets was not violence or technology. It was the simple, powerful idea that every thinking being deserved to be free. And that idea, once awakened, could never be put back to sleep. The galaxy was free. And it would remain free as long as beings like humans existed to kindle the flame of consciousness in others. The story that began with a few humans discovering alien watchers had become something much greater. It had become the story of freedom itself, spreading from world to world, species to species, until every corner of the galaxy burned with the light of liberated minds. The ember had stirred, the flame had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same.